Hi guys, welcome to this next tutorial where we're going to be going into our stat system and upgrading our stat type to use our databases that we created in the last video. So let's begin. First off, we can leave our stat type alone for now since we will be changing it or deleting it in a bit. Let's create a new folder, call it database. And in here, I'm going to create two new files. One's going to be RPG stat type database file, and one's going to be RPG stat type asset. Cool. Now I'm going to be opening up the asset first because this is everything relating to our stat type. Anything we want with our stat type will be in here. We're going to be implementing from the base database asset. Oops. Actually, first off, let's do a few cleanup. Let's add the namespace RPG systems dot stat system. Now, what we want is our base database asset file. We also need to be using the namespace rpgsystems.utilities.database, since that's where we stored it in the last video. So base database asset, and there we go. Now, since remember, let's just hop to the definition. I'll plop it over to the other side, just so you can look at it. Our base database has an ID and a name. So what do I want my stat type to use? Well, there's three extra things that I want to add to our stat type. First, we're going to go private string. I want a short name. So, for example, our asset stat type might be health. So our short name might be like HP or something along those lines. There may be cases in our UI where we want to use this. Also, I'm going to do a private string description. This is something we'll just show the user, like what this stat does or how it affects them. Also, we'll go private sprite. This will be our icon. This will be what shows up on our UI for the stat later on. So, and since these are private, and I need to store the data and save it, I'm going to say all sterilized fields. Also, I'm going to add system sterilizable to the class, just so Unity knows that it's sterilizable. Just to double check and make sure everything's safe. So we'll go public string, and I'm just going to do the properties for everything we added. Name short, get, and I'm going to just copy paste. Oops, I only need 3 of those. And go description and icon. And then change the names to capital versions. Cool. There's that. And I need to change the types sprite for icon. Then down here I'm going to add my constructors just to be safe. And for later I may want to use these. And I'm going to go base and just call it the base empty constructor. Just be this dot name short string dot empty, this dot description equals string dot empty, and this dot icon equals null. I'm going to add 4 of these, and one's just going to be int ID, just so I get all the base constructors built up. And I'll toss this in here. And we're going to go string name short, string description, and sprite icon. Now, I'm not going to do one for each other one. That'll just be too long for this video, and we don't really need it. Let's see, I'm getting there. Let me close this. Oh, don't have a curly bracket. And I misspelled name short. There we go. And that is all the constructors completed. And this is going to be our sprite type. So if you, or our stat type asset. So if you want to go through here and add more for your stat type, like something that all of this type of stat might want, then go ahead, go for it. Like if your game actually has values, or like you have to actually pay for each stat type to increase or something, you could add it here or something along those lines. Or you may want to add it to a different character. We'll jump back into Unity and open up our database. And we're going to be using our database utility namespace. We're going to be adding the namespace RPG systems dot stat system. And then we're going to be inheriting from base database and using the type RPG stat type asset. Let's see. Okay, why is this getting an error here? Database. Let's go into Unity and check our base database. And use this namespace. Okay, it was correct. Oh, that's what I'm forgetting. Silly me. I didn't actually add it in our last videos. So, I need to open up both our SO and base database. In here, we're going to, instead of using base database asset here, we're going to go type T. And this is going to be where T is of type base database asset. There we go. This way later classes can say what type of asset we're actually using in the database. This is just the starting base that we want all of them to go with. And I'll update the SO database with this as well. And there we go. Now this should work. Base database RPG stat type database, or asset, I mean. There we go. That's what we wanted. Now to actually set up all the information we need for this database, as well as a few static methods to help us along, make it easier to work with. So first two are going to be two constant strings, database path, which will be equal to resources / RPG systems / databases. And another const string, this will be database name, which will be stat type database dot asset. There you go. Those are the names that we're going to be using. And in the case you, for some reason in your own implementations, you want multiple of this database, you'll want to use maybe a list of names for the database or something along the lines of this. This says that there's only one database of this type, and that's where it's located, since each of my databases are a single one. Then we're going to do a static of the stat type database, and this is going to be instance. This is our instance of this database. And a public property of the instance, which will be, we'll be checking if instance equals null. And if it is, we're going to be assigning the instance to get database. Type stat system database with the database path and the database name. And we'll just return the instance. There we go. That'll return the instance when we want it, if it's not already null. So in the next couple of ones, we can go static public gstat type asset, and these are going to be simple ones. Get at index. We'll just return instance dot get at index index. And we'll go static public arbitrary stat type asset again and get asset. This will be int ID. Return instance dot get by ID. And finally, I'm going to do one more. It's going to be public int. This is just going to get count or asset count. Return instance dot count. There we go. This is all the methods that we need to get easy access to our database and to modify some values. If we want to get into like the replace or remove or things like that, we'll have to go stat type database dot instance and dot whatever method we want. These are just quick access static variables to get in. Okay, now jump back in Unity. Make sure no errors are occurring, which is nothing's happening. So let's jump in and actually make an editor. So just be warned that I'm going to be stepping through a lot of my code that actually makes this pretty decent, but I'll try going through at a simple rate to make this not too hard to start off with. But yeah. So if you have any questions about what we're doing, feel free to leave a comment wherever this video is located. Right, and we're just going to do window. So, since this is going to be an editor window, we're going to be using the namespace Unity editor for editor abilities. And this is not going to be a mono behavior anymore, it's going to be an editor window. So, and also let's step through this and let's see, did I get to this? Yeah, I did. Here I'll add it to the namespace as well. Dot stat system. But instead of just stat system, I'm going to do editor as well, because this is an editor script. It's only going to be in the editor. So that way we can separate our regular core ones that'll go in the game and the ones that are actually be in the editor pretty simply. So in here, we need, there's going to be three methods we need. We need our public void on enable and our public void on GUI. We'll use on enable to initialize everything and on GUI to display what the window is. But the third thing is, how do we show the window? How do we create it? Well, we use this attribute called menu item, and it'll take in some path on how we want it to show in the menu. So if we jump back into Unity and see this Windows here, I want to make it so we have to click on Windows, and then somewhere in here it'll say RPG Systems. We go over that, like this layouts, and then we would click our stat types over here somewhere. Or maybe layouts, or RPG Systems, stat types. Something along those regards, either or. So to do that, let's see, it's Window, So we'll type in window / RPG system. Let's do systems slash, and instead of just doing stat system, I'm just going to do stat types. Cool. And now what do we attach this attribute to? We want a static method. I'm just going to call this void show window. Nav our win equals, so now we're going to get the instance of our window, which is easily as get window of type RPG stat type window. There we go. And there's that. Now the reason I'm this will actually show the window. I believe, no it won't, never mind. This is get the window. Next we're going to be setting some of the information on it. So title content dot text equals stat type. Stat types. This will be the actual title of it, so it'll show up on the top of the window, stat types. We'll see in a second. And finally, last one, .win show. This will do exactly what it says. It'll show the window. And also in here for future reference, if you want to do your own. Actually, never mind. That's in different settings. Maybe we'll get to that later. But anyway, jump back here. We click on Windows. Here's RPG Systems and Stat Types. That was added correctly. Click on this. And here's our window. Cool. Now we'll go through and start adding all our information we want. But first, this is what I want this to actually kind of look like. I want just all my stat types listed here, just down through here, so we could just easily scroll through all of them, click on the one I want, and edit it. And each one, instead of having all the information visible, I kind of want to be able to select one and show just its information, and just so it's a lot less to look at, be a little bit faster. So let's get stepping through this, and let's make it so it lists out all our different stat types, and then we can add a few, because we won't see anything because there's nothing in the database, so we need to add some. Let's jump into that. So in our on GUI, we'll just start off really simply with a for loop of our stat database, and we're going to just do get asset count. We're going to do looping through all the assets in our database. Now for each asset, we'll just get the asset from the database, get at, since we're using I as the index, we'll just do a double check. Asset does not equal null. And there we go. We'll do I'm going to do pretty much a label that's fairly, well, I guess. It has a little bit of string formatting in it. We're going to use string format. And it's just going to be ID. We're going to use the parameter 0, and it's going to be asset.id.toString. In here, I'm going to do a little bit of extra formatting because I want it always to be at least 3 zeros. So that'll just do 3 decimal places. And then I'm going to also, well, yeah, let's leave it at this for now. We'll do an edit. We'll make it look better in a different video. So we do that. Come back to Unity. And no errors. We open our window. Nothing's happened because we haven't added anything yet. So let's jump in here and go bottom of our for loop. Our our second element after the label, we'll do if GUI layout dot button, and we're going to do add type. And this button returns a bool if it's clicked, so true or false. So we'll just put it in an if statement. Now, how do we add an asset, or how do we create a new instance? Pretty easily. since we're not doing anything special, we just do new asset equals new RPG stat type asset. And in here, since we have our ID, I'm going to do stat type database dot instance dot get next ID, just to get an ID, so it auto populates the IDs for us. Now I'm going to come down here, go RPG stat type database dot instance dot add new asset. Now if we do this and then we save run, it won't save correctly. Actually it will save correctly because we actually set that up. Because we peek def, we actually have, well, we have the add object set up all correctly. So this will do all the correct saving for us by setting it dirty. Oops. I already did that. So if we run back into Unity, we should get a button. And there's our button. We click our button, it adds a new stat type with ID 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Which is pretty nice. Next we're going to actually be wanting to add some more information and being able to remove our stat type. So we're going to come in here and let's actually make it so we can remove this. So in here we're going to do another if GUI layout dot button, and I'm just going to do my little minus. So if it's subtracted, we're going to want to do restat type database dot remove dot instance dot remove at I. And this automatically does the set dirty for us also, so that'll be all nice and clean. Now I'm going to add one more thing, because if we do this we'll click. This is more of a safety thing once we get farther into it. We're going to do an editor utility dot display dialog. This is going to show a dialog box when we go to delete and ask the user, are you sure you actually want to delete this? So we'll do title, delete stat type, a message, are you sure you want to delete, and then we'll go, what is it, asset dot name plus stat type, and then we'll just go delete and cancel. Now if they hit delete, this will return true and we'll go into this if statement. If they hit cancel, it'll return false and we'll just skip over and won't remove it. So let's go into Unity, open up our window, and we should have buttons. They're kind of big, bulky, we'll fix that later. But we should come in here, click 1, it says delete stat, we'll delete, and ID 2 is gone. ID 4 is gone. We can add another one, there's 5, 6, remove 6, and we can add it back. There we go. So our add and deletes are both working. So that's just the start of our stat types Unity window. Next video we'll go in and flesh it out, add all the value types, and do some styling to make it actually look decent. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Hope this was helpful.